that, sometimes in Iraq people have, more Fourth Amendment rights than they do over here in certain cases. Like, the short version being the military actually, has more discipline than the cops. So when we call them militarized police, I'm not that fond of the military. That's a whole different story. But I almost want to jump in and defend the military here, only because they appear to have, generally speaking, more discipline in these areas than a militarized police officer does. It's not. I mean, I don't think that the military is the problem. I think the militarized mindset is the problem. But the whole thing, the last comment about community policing or lack thereof is absolutely spot on. And it is true that will be harder to translate to a big city without having your friendliness be, you're patting down the same Hispanic kid that you patted down last week, and he still doesn't have anything on him. I think translating community policing to a city, it might help if we had fewer laws, and we didn't have cops who had to concern themselves with petty violations or consensual crimes that shouldn't be crimes, and they actually basically were just there to keep an eye on things in case something actually serious, broke out. Fundamentally, there is a major psychological. There's a response when you feel like you're being occupied by any outside force, including police. I had my own minor version of this only when the G20 summit came to Pittsburgh 5 years ago. I wasn't protesting amongst all the crazy liberals. I was kind of on the outskirts trying to see if anything interesting happened. And there were wild, the other kind of anarchists in their black hoodies rolling dumpsters, and, there was tear gas and all that, and I kind of just was hanging out trying to see if anything interesting happened. But the most excessive police response was not to the people who weren't trying to provoke it, but the most excessive police response came the day after the summit when all the quote-unquote important political leaders were gone from the neighborhood. And you had 800, maybe, black-clad, scary-looking riot cops in their jackboots coming into the Pittsburgh neighborhood of Oakland. You had them arresting about 150 people, chasing University of Pittsburgh students all over their campus, tear gassing, arresting people, basically arresting people because they were out of their dorms going, wow, this is interesting, what's going on? And I don't have a lot of Pittsburgh pride. I didn't go to Pitt. I went to a different college. But, I distinctly remember the psychological feeling of, like, who the hell are you people in my town in your scary riot gear invading? And if you feel that way all the time, if you don't know who these cops are, if they're hiding their faces, if they're wearing their paramilitary-looking gear, I mean, how could that possibly lead to any kind of respect within communities? You're going to get people pissed off, people alienated, people who might act like jerks because who the hell is this guy in my neighborhood coming in, all heavily armed, pushing me around. And, then you're going to get people reacting the way that, it's human nature to react, which is maybe violently, hopefully not, but it's just so obvious. It's such a human response saying, who are you people in my town? And if you can't fix that divide, then you're kind of out of luck with police at all, I think.
I want to make one comment before we kind of move into the last bit, which is it was one person who I talked to who said that he had that attitude, and if it's one person who says that they have that attitude, maybe across the country, there's maybe 100 people who might think that way. So that's why I brought it up. That's why I brought it up. Titan in the chat room has another comment, and I'll let everyone respond to it, and then we'll get to our last bit. Most police would act like reasonable servants if the criminal class were more like choir boys, but they're not. Go ahead, Lucy.
Wow, if criminals weren't criminals, then the people tasked with, bringing in criminals wouldn't behave badly sometimes. Like, Again, this is very inane as well. The entire purpose of a police officer, in theory, is they're a better class of citizen because they're risking their lives to protect all of us. You know, if something horrible happens, we call them up and they come and they help us. Ideally, they even are there to de-escalate a situation. You know, someone mentally ill is flipping out and you're worried they might be violent, but you don't know it yet. Ideally, a cop waits until the last possible second before they pull out a gun, or even waits a while before they pull out a taser. If they're braver than us, the way they keep saying they are, they need to show it, and they need to risk their lives and their safety every goddamn minute. So, yeah, if criminals weren't criminals, then police wouldn't be bad. I don't know. Another bad question.
Peter?
Titan, always with the questions. I think that I have to agree with Lucy. It's just a bad question. You know, if criminals weren't criminals, then the police wouldn't have to deal with them. The fact of the matter is that people who commit crimes are by their very nature not choir boys, i.e. choir boys. How many of them are actually having to deal with the police? Not very many. So I find the question to be somewhat redundant. Look, police have to deal with a bad element. That's true. But if you have police that know that they have to deal with a bad element and they're also engaged in the society in other ways, they're going to see the good people that are there. And they're going to recognize who they are. They're going to recognize, hey, look, you're not a criminal. You're not, somebody's out to do bad things. The fact of the matter is that I think every last one of us has a story we can tell about a bad experience we had with a police officer. And the fact of the matter is there are jerks out there. And that's the kind word that I would use. The word I really want to use is much worse. So when you have that element, we tend to typecast all police that way, and that just simply isn't the case. There are criminals. When they get arrested, they're perfect gentlemen. Should we talk about that? I don't think so. Generalities, most police are good people. Generalities, criminals, they're getting arrested for a reason because they're breaking the law, and they're not choir boys.
Sometimes the laws are terrible, though.
Pardon me?
I mean, we have a lot of laws that are terrible.
Well, I agree with that. And I'm not drawing correlations to, well, you broke the law, so therefore you're terrible. We also have people that abuse the law or their positions, even though they blatantly broke the law, even here in Texas. So we can have that discussion and pull out all the corner cases we want. But
Was
if
that
you
a
talk
Ken
about
Paxton shot?
No. I was actually doing a shot across the bow for a certain prosecutor in Austin. So,
yes.
Yeah. Not that it's really that hard to do anyway. So,
speaking of types of people that need reform, prosecutors, my God.
Yeah.
Titan has clarified his statement, by the way.
Oh, okay. What is his statement?
Well, his clarification was that the criminal class has gotten more violent over time, and that's why.
That is not true at all.
I would say really, because I would give you, I see your criminal class has gotten more violent over crime, and I raised you the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Boom.
So the declining crime rate in the past 20 years, how does that bode with the increased violence of the criminal class?
Well, I think he's saying that they're more violent, and the criminals themselves there might be less of them, but they're more violent, and I think there actually is some merit to that.
If there was any proof to that, that would be something we could address.
I want to see raw numbers.
That sounds like a person who doesn't know what they're talking about. I mean, if individual criminals are more violent, so there's less violent crime. Okay, give me numbers, but he still sounds like he doesn't know what he's talking about at all.
I'm willing to believe him, but I want to see the statistics that prove it.
Yeah.
I said I'm willing to. I didn't say I did. I said I'm willing to, but I want to see something to back it up.
I can give numbers from like the last 10 years. And I can tell you why cops are, itchy to pull out the gun to protect themselves is because about 100, on average, one cop every 56 hours is killed. That's a true stat. And one person.
No.
Yes.
No, the actual.
Let me finish. I have let you talk all night long.
Hang on. Let Stefan go first, and then Lucy, I'll let you respond.
I'll even try to find the website for it later, and it was a regular website, didn't have a thing to do on either side. It said, in the past 10 years, 1,500 cops have been shot and killed while on duty. And that 4,000 people in 10 years, 4,000, now this is 4,000 out of 4 million arrested out of 10 years. That's 40 million people being arrested. 4,000 people have been shot and killed by the cops. So there is, I would say, the only reason I would say the crime's violent that way, as far as, these people don't have enough respect they'll shoot at cops. Cops are scared. Some are too fast. Some need to assess the situation more. I would say, like, the Michael Brown case in Ferguson, that one, he had every right to shoot that guy. And you're not as accurate.
If his story is true, yeah.
Hold on. If you're not, they say he took 12 shots, but he missed 6 times. It's hard to hit somebody with a gun. Number 2, the Tamir Rice, the little kid who got shot, that is tragic. But I don't blame the cop on that one. I blame the 911 operator that was told it was a toy gun, but did not relay that to the police. So when they saw the kid pull it out of him, they thought it was a real gun. And the one, the Eric Garner, in the Eric Garner case, that should have never have happened. And I don't care if there was a black sergeant there that told them to go ahead and jump and take him down. It was an illegal chokehold. And you do resist when you can't breathe. Your natural inclination is try to pull somebody off of you when you can't breathe. So that one was wrong. That guy should have got at least involuntary manslaughter for that. I absolutely believe he should have been arrested. And people have the rights to protest, but I don't think they need to drum it up like they do. And those other 2 cops from New York would not have been shot and executed the way they were.
For those who are wondering what Stefan was talking about, he is talking from stats from the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund, which reports that a total of 1,501 law enforcement officers died in the line of duty over the past 10 years, an average of one death every 58 hours, or 150 per year. That is according to a column by Michelle Malkin that she wrote on August 15th, 2014.
I have to say, okay, first of all, Michelle Malkin is a pathetic hack, and I despise her. But more to the point, when they say 1,500 cops killed in the line of duty, they do not mean from felonious homicide. They mean accidents, especially car accidents, which is going to give you most of those numbers every year. The actual homicide rate against cops, mostly with guns, obviously, has increased. Increased in 2014. We had the high-profile, horrible things at the end of the year. I think it was about 40 or maybe like 50 cops were actually, murdered in the line of duty in 2014. In 2013, there was about 25 to 30, which was a record low. Like, it's not good when cops get hit by cars or die in accidents, but that is not the same thing as them being purposefully killed by somebody in the line of duty. They're putting all those numbers together. And somebody like Malkin likes to repeat that number for her own benefit.
All right. Final thing that we are going to do before we go ahead and wrap up Saturday Night Cigar Lounge here on Vigilant Liberty Radio. I'd like to thank Stefan Glaug, George Templeton, and Peter Ream from Free Radical Network, as well as Lucy Steigerwald from antiwar.com for all being here. Really appreciate it, y'all. It's been a fun discussion. What I've noticed that it seems like everyone here agrees is it starts at the top where the laws that are being made